My golden child sister stole my car and disappeared for months. By the time police caught her 4 states away, she was already telling everyone that I was the reason she ended up in jail. Now my entire family is against me. My sister Lauren has always believed the world owed her everything. Growing up, she was the golden child who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes, while I was the responsible younger sibling expected to clean up her messes and accommodate her every whim. She borrowed my clothes without asking, lost my jewelry at parties, and somehow always managed to turn her problems into everyone else's emergencies. The pattern started early and never stopped. When Lauren was 16 and I was 14, she crashed our mom's car after sneaking out to meet friends. Instead of facing consequences, she convinced our parents that I had distracted her earlier that day by asking for help with homework, making her too flustered to drive safely. I got grounded for 2 weeks for contributing to the situation. When Lauren failed her SATs senior year, she blamed me for playing music too loudly the night before her test. Our parents made me write her an apology letter. College gave me 4 blessed years of freedom from Lauren's entitlement, but graduation brought me back home to save money while starting my career. Lauren had dropped out of college after 2 semesters, bouncing between jobs and boyfriends, always landing back at our parents' house when her latest scheme fell apart. She was 25 to my 23, but she acted like a teenager who expected everyone else to handle adult responsibilities for her. The final straw should have been when Lauren borrowed my laptop for a job interview and returned it with a cracked screen and a virus from downloading pirated movies. When I asked her to pay for repairs, she accused me of being selfish and unsupportive of her career goals. Our parents sided with her, saying family should help family without keeping score. But the laptop incident was nothing compared to what happened with my car. I had saved for 2 years to buy my Honda Civic, a reliable 2019 model with low mileage that represented independence and financial responsibility. It was the first major purchase I'd made entirely on my own, without borrowing money from our parents or asking for help. The car payments were manageable on my salary as a marketing coordinator, and I took meticulous care of the vehicle, following the maintenance schedule religiously, and keeping detailed records of every oil change and service appointment. Lauren, meanwhile, drove a 15-year-old Nissan that spent more time in repair shops than on the road. She'd bought it for $3,000 with money borrowed from our parents, then never bothered with regular maintenance. The car had been towed twice for unpaid parking tickets, failed inspection 3 times running, and leaked oil in every driveway where she parked it. In March, Lauren's car finally died completely. She claimed the transmission had failed, though given her maintenance habits, it could have been anything. She appeared at our parents' house in tears, explaining that she needed transportation to get to her new job at a marketing agency downtown. "It's a really good opportunity," she sobbed to our mom while I listened from the kitchen. "But if I can't get to work reliably, they'll fire me before I even get started. I just need something temporary while I figure out what to do about my car." Our parents immediately began brainstorming solutions. Could they lend her money for a rental car? Should they co-sign on a loan for a replacement vehicle? Maybe I could drive her to work each day until she got transportation figured out? I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have remembered every previous time Lauren had turned a small favor into a massive inconvenience. But she seemed genuinely desperate, and I felt sorry for her. "She could borrow my car for a few days?" I offered reluctantly, just until she can get a rental or figure out her situation. Lauren's tears dried up instantly. "Really? That would be amazing. I promise I'll take super good care of it, just for a few days," I emphasized. "I need it back by the weekend because I have plans." "Of course," Lauren said. "I wouldn't keep it longer than absolutely necessary." Our parents praised me for being such a supportive sister, telling Lauren how lucky she was to have family who would help her in a crisis. Lauren hugged me theatrically, promising she'd never forget this kindness. I handed over my keys on Monday morning, watching nervously as Lauren adjusted my mirrors and seat position. She'd driven my car a few times before, but always with me in the passenger seat supervising. Now she was taking it solo for an entire week. "Drive carefully," I told her, "and please don't eat in the car or smoke." "I don't smoke anymore," Lauren said, rolling her eyes, "and I'm not going to mess up your precious car. I'm not an idiot." The first few days went smoothly. Lauren picked up the car Monday morning and returned it each evening, reporting on her day at the new job and thanking me repeatedly for saving her career. She even filled up the gas tank without being asked, which was more consideration than I'd expected. "See," she said Thursday evening, tossing my keys back to me. "I told you I'd take good care of it. You worry too much." Friday morning, she collected the keys again, promising to return the car by 6 p.m. so I could drive to my friend's birthday party that evening. 6 o'clock came and went with no Lauren and no car. I called her cell phone repeatedly, getting voicemail every time. "Hey, it's Lauren. Leave a message and I'll get back to you." By 8 p.m., I was panicking. My friend's party had started an hour ago, and I had no transportation. More importantly, I had no idea where my car was or what Lauren was doing with it. I called our parents, hoping they'd heard from her. "I'm sure she's just running late," Mom said. "You know how Lauren loses track of time. She was supposed to return my car 3 hours ago. I've been calling and texting with no response." "Maybe her phone died," Dad suggested. "She'll probably show up soon with a good explanation." But Lauren didn't show up Friday night, or Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon. By Sunday, I was alternating between fury and genuine worry. Had something happened to her? Had she been in an accident? Was she lying unconscious in a hospital somewhere? I drove my parents' car to the marketing agency where Lauren claimed to work, planning to check if she'd shown up for her shifts. The receptionist looked confused when I asked about Lauren Wilson. "I'm sorry, but we don't have anyone by that name working here," she said, checking her computer system twice. "She just started this week," I explained. "She might be in training or something." "We haven't hired anyone new in over a month," the receptionist said. "Are you sure you have the right company?" I stared at her, processing this information. Lauren had been taking my car to a job that didn't exist, lying to our entire family about her employment situation while using my vehicle for unknown purposes. That evening, I confronted our parents with what I'd learned. "Lauren lied about the job," I told them. "The company has no record of her working there." "Maybe you misunderstood the name of the company," Mom said. "Or maybe she's working for a contractor or something." "I checked everywhere in that building. No one has ever heard of her." Dad frowned. "That doesn't make sense. Why would she lie about having a job?" "Because that's what Lauren does," I said, my frustration boiling over. "She lies to get what she wants, and then everyone else has to deal with the consequences." "That's not fair," Mom protested. "Lauren's been going through a hard time lately. Maybe she was embarrassed about not finding work yet and made up the job story to avoid disappointing us. So now she gets to keep my car indefinitely because she lied about why she needed it? I'm sure she'll bring it back soon," Dad said. "Give her a few more days." But days turned into weeks with no word from Lauren. She'd seemingly vanished, taking my car car with her. Her cell phone went straight to voicemail. Her social media accounts went dark. Her friends claimed they hadn't heard from her in months. I spent my savings on a rental car so I could get to work, growing more furious each day about the situation. Lauren had stolen my car. There was no other way to describe it. She'd taken it under false pretenses and disappeared without any intention of returning it. Our parents remained optimistic that she'd resurface with a reasonable explanation. Lauren's always been a free spirit, Mom said when I expressed my growing anger. She probably just needed some space to figure things out. She'll come home when she's ready. She can figure things out without my car, I snapped. I need my vehicle back. I have car payments to make, insurance to maintain, and I'm spending a fortune on rental fees. Maybe this is a good opportunity to practice patience and forgiveness, Dad suggested. Lauren's your sister. Family sticks together through difficult times. I was amazed by their ability to frame Lauren's theft as a character-building exercise for me. Somehow, even when she was clearly in the wrong, Lauren managed to be the victim of the situation. After 6 weeks with no contact, I called the police to report my car stolen. The officer who took my report seemed skeptical about the family dynamics. Your sister borrowed the car with permission? He asked, typing notes into his computer. She borrowed it for a few days and then disappeared, I explained. It's been 6 weeks. I've tried calling, texting, everything. She's not responding and I need my car back. This sounds like a civil matter rather than a criminal one, the officer said. Since you gave her permission to use the vehicle initially, it might be hard to prove theft. But she was only supposed to have it for a few days. She lied about why she needed it and now she won't return it. I understand your frustration, but the law gets complicated when family members are involved. We can file a report, but I want to manage your expectations about what we can do. Still, having an official police report felt like progress. At least someone in authority was taking the situation seriously, even if my parents continued to make excuses for Lauren's behavior. The breakthrough came in late May, 2 months after Lauren had vanished with my car. I was at work when my phone rang with a call from an unknown number with a Colorado area code. Is this Nicole Wilson? The caller asked. Yes, who is this? This is Officer Patel with the Denver Police Department. We have your vehicle in our impound lot. My heart started racing. My car, is my sister okay? Was there an accident? Your sister is fine, Officer Patel said. She was arrested yesterday for unpaid traffic violations. The car was impounded as part of the arrest process. Arrested for traffic violations? Multiple violations, actually. Parking tickets, speeding tickets, running red lights. It appears the violations have been accumulating for several weeks across multiple states. I felt sick. Multiple states? Yes, ma'am. The violations span Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Ohio. There are outstanding fines totaling over $3,000, all associated with your vehicle registration. Lauren had driven my car across the entire country, accumulating traffic tickets in my name at every stop. Since the car was registered to me, I was legally responsible for every violation. Where's my sister now? I asked. She's being held pending resolution of the outstanding fines. She'll be released once the violations are paid or she posts bond. How much is the bond? $5,000. I nearly dropped the phone. Lauren had managed to rack up enough violations to warrant a $5,000 bond, and since the tickets were associated with my car registration, I was potentially on the hook for all of it. What about my car? I asked. Can I get it back? You'll need to pay the impound fees and provide proof of ownership, Officer Patel explained. The fees are currently $180 per day, and the vehicle has been in impound for 3 days. $180 per day? That's over $500 already. Yes, ma'am. The fees continue to accumulate until the vehicle is claimed. I hung up the phone feeling overwhelmed and furious. Lauren had stolen my car, driven it across the country, accumulated thousands of dollars in traffic violations in my name, gotten herself arrested, and now I was responsible for paying impound fees to get my own vehicle back. I called my parents immediately to fill them in on the situation. At least she's safe, Mom said when I finished explaining. I was starting to worry that something terrible had happened to her. Something terrible did happen, I said. She committed multiple crimes and is now sitting in jail in Colorado. Don't be so dramatic, Dad said. Traffic violations aren't serious crimes. She probably just got overwhelmed and made some poor decisions. She made the poor decision to steal my car and drive it across the country without telling anyone where she was going. She didn't steal it, Mom protested. You gave her permission to borrow it. For a few days, it's been 2 months. Maybe she was afraid to come home because she knew you'd be angry, Dad suggested. Lauren's always been sensitive to conflict. I couldn't believe they were still making excuses for her behavior. Lauren was sitting in jail for unpaid traffic violations, and they were worried about her feelings being hurt. Are you going to help her? Mom asked. She's going to need money for the bond and the fines. I'm not giving her a penny, I said firmly. She created this mess, she can figure out how to fix it. She's your sister, Dad said. Family helps family. Family doesn't steal from family, I replied. Lauren made her choices. Now she gets to live with the consequences. But even as I said it, I knew I'd end up paying the impound fees to get my car back. I couldn't afford to leave it sitting in a Denver lot accumulating charges indefinitely. I took a day off work and flew to Denver, bringing every document I could think of to prove ownership of my vehicle. The impound lot was exactly as depressing as I'd imagined. Rows of damaged and abandoned cars surrounded by chain link fencing and security cameras. My Honda Civic was in the far corner, and seeing it made my heart sink. The car that had been pristine when Lauren borrowed it now looked like it had been through a war zone. The windshield had a spiderweb crack across the passenger side. The bumper was dented and scratched. The tires were worn down to nearly bald. I walked around the car taking photos, documenting the damage Lauren had inflicted during her cross-country adventure. When I popped the trunk to check for my emergency supplies, I found it packed full of Lauren's belongings. Clothes, books, makeup, even a small television. She'd been living out of my car, using it as a mobile storage unit for her possessions. The impound clerk, a tired-looking man in his 50s, processed my paperwork with practiced efficiency. That'll be $720 in impound fees, he said, plus $50 for the administrative processing. $770 total? Your car's been here 4 days at $180 per day plus processing. Will that be cash or card? I handed over my credit card, feeling sick about the expense. Lauren's few days of borrowing had cost me nearly $800 in impound fees, plus whatever it would cost to repair the damage and address the traffic violations. Driving my car away from the impound lot felt surreal. The vehicle that had once been my pride and joy now felt foreign and violated. The seat was adjusted for Lauren's height, the radio was set to stations I'd never heard of, and there was a lingering smell of fast food and cigarettes despite her promise not to smoke in the car. The odometer showed that Lauren had put over 30,000 miles on my car in just 2 months, equivalent to more than a year of my normal driving. She'd literally driven the car across the country and back. back, probably multiple times, turning my reliable transportation into a high-mileage road trip vehicle. I drove straight to the Denver jail to confront Lauren before flying home. I wasn't planning to bail her out, but I needed to hear her explanation for what she'd done. The jail visit was conducted through a glass partition with phones on either side. Lauren appeared in an orange jumpsuit, looking surprisingly unbothered by her circumstances. If anything, she seemed annoyed to see me. "It's about time," she said when she picked up the phone. "I've been trying to call you for days." I stared at her in disbelief. "You've been trying to call me? The collect calls. Haven't you been accepting them?" "I didn't know you were trying to call me collect from jail. Your regular phone has been going to voicemail for 2 months." "I lost that phone weeks ago," Lauren said dismissively. "Look, I need you to post my bail so I can get out of here. This place is disgusting and the food is terrible." "I'm not posting your bail, Lauren. I'm here to get my car back." "Your car is fine," she said, rolling her eyes. "It's sitting in some impound lot costing us money while you're being stubborn about this." "Costing us money? Lauren, you stole my car." "I didn't steal anything. You let me borrow it for a few days. It's been 2 months. You disappeared without telling anyone where you were going." "I needed some space to figure things out," Lauren said, as if this was a perfectly reasonable explanation. "I was going through a lot of personal stuff and needed time to process." "So you decided to process your personal stuff by driving my car across the country and accumulating thousands of dollars in traffic violations?" Lauren shrugged. "The tickets aren't that big a deal. Most of them are just parking violations. The officer said there are over $3,000 in fines, and they're all in my name because it's my car registration." "Then you should have thought about that before you let me borrow the car," Lauren said, her tone turning defensive. "It's not my fault the tickets go to the registration owner." I felt like I was talking to an alien being. Lauren seemed genuinely unable to understand that her actions had consequences for other people. "Where have you been for 2 months?" I asked. "What were you doing with my car?" "I drove out to California to explore some opportunities," Lauren said vaguely. "Then I went up to Seattle to visit some friends, then down to Colorado to check out the ski towns. I was thinking about relocating, maybe finding a fresh start somewhere." "You were thinking about relocating? What about your job here?" "What job?" "The marketing job you supposedly needed transportation for." Lauren had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. "That didn't work out." "Because it never existed. I checked with the company, Lauren. They'd never heard of you." "Okay, fine, I made that up," she admitted. "But I was actively looking for work. I just needed some time to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And you decided to figure that out by stealing my car and driving it across the country." "I didn't steal it," Lauren snapped. "You gave it to me. If you didn't want me to use it, you shouldn't have offered." "I offered to let you borrow it for a few days, not to take it on a multi-state road trip for 2 months. The amount of time is irrelevant. You gave me permission to use the car, which means I had the right to use it however I saw fit." I stared at her through the glass partition, marveling at her ability to reframe theft as a misunderstanding about terms and conditions. "Lauren, you lied to me about why you needed the car, disappeared without contact for 2 months, and accumulated thousands of dollars in traffic violations that I'm responsible for. How is any of that okay?" "Look, I'm sorry if you're upset," she said in the tone of someone who wasn't sorry at all. "But you're blowing this way out of proportion. I was going through a difficult time and needed support from my family. Instead of being understanding, you called the police on me like I'm some kind of criminal." "You are a criminal. You stole my car." "I borrowed your car with permission. For a few days." "You never specified exactly what a few days meant," Lauren said smugly. "That's subjective language open to interpretation." I wanted to reach through the glass and shake her. Even sitting in jail facing thousands of dollars in fines, Lauren was convinced she was the victim of the situation. "Are you going to help me get out of here or not?" she asked when I didn't respond immediately. "No, Lauren, I'm not giving you money for bail and I'm not paying your traffic fines. You created this mess, you can figure out how to fix it." "Fine," Lauren said, her tone turning cold. "But don't expect me to forget that you abandoned me in my time of need. Mom and Dad are going to be very disappointed when they hear how unsupportive you've been." "Mom and Dad can bail you out if they want to," I replied. "I'm done cleaning up your messes." I hung up the phone and walked away, leaving Lauren sitting in her orange jumpsuit looking shocked that I wasn't going to rescue her from the consequences of her own actions. The flight home was turbulent, but not as turbulent as the conversation I had with our parents when I filled them in on the jail visit. "You left her sitting in jail?" Mom asked, horrified. "She put herself in jail by accumulating $3,000 in unpaid traffic violations." "But she's your sister," Dad said. "You can't just abandon family." "I didn't abandon her. I retrieved my stolen car and refused to enable her criminal behavior." "She made some poor choices," Mom said, "but calling her a criminal is harsh." "She committed crimes, Mom. Multiple crimes across multiple states. She's literally sitting in jail right now because of her criminal behavior." "Mistakes don't make someone a criminal," Dad argued. "Lauren's always been impulsive. She probably just got carried away and lost track of time." "For 2 months? She was going through a difficult period," Mom said. "Sometimes people need space to work through personal issues. She could have worked through her personal issues without stealing my car." "She didn't steal it," Dad said firmly. "You gave her permission to use it." I realized we were going to keep having the same circular conversation forever. Our parents were never going to hold Lauren accountable for her actions, and Lauren was never going to take responsibility for the consequences of her choices. I was the only one in the family who saw the situation clearly. "Are you going to help her?" Mom asked hopefully. "No. What if she can't afford the bail and fines on her own? Then she'll sit in jail until she figures something out." Mom started crying. "I can't believe you're willing to let your sister rot in prison over some traffic tickets." "She's not rotting in prison, Mom. She's sitting in county jail because she broke multiple laws, and they're not some traffic tickets. They're thousands of dollars in fines that I'm potentially responsible for because she used my car to commit the violations." But our parents had already made up their minds. By the end of the week, they'd wired Lauren money for bail and hired a lawyer to help resolve her traffic violations. They also started a payment plan to address the outstanding fines, using money from their retirement savings. "We couldn't just leave her there," Mom explained when I expressed my disapproval. "She's our daughter. She's also a grown adult who made deliberate choices to break the law." "Everyone makes mistakes," Dad said. "The important thing is that we support each other through difficult times." Lauren was released from jail after 5 days and immediately started making plans to return home. She called me from Colorado, expecting me to be grateful that she was finally coming back. "I should be home by next week," she announced. "I'm driving back with some friends who were visiting Denver." "What about my car? What about it? Are you bringing it back?" "Well, obviously, it's not like I can leave it in Colorado." "When will you return it to me?" Lauren paused. "Return it to you?" "Yes, return it. It's my car, Lauren. I need it back." "But I still need transportation," she said. "My car is still broken and I don't have money to fix it right now." "That's not my problem." "Come on, Nicole. I've been been using your car for months now. It's practically mine at this point. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's practically yours? You barely drove it before I started using it, Lauren said defensively. It was just sitting in the driveway most of the time. At least I'm getting some use out of it. I drove it every day to work, for like 20 minutes each way. I've put way more miles on it than you ever did. If anything, you should be thanking me for breaking it in properly. Lauren, you put 30,000 miles on my car in 2 months. You cracked the windshield, dented the bumper, and filled the trunk with your belongings. I don't need to thank you for destroying my vehicle. I didn't destroy anything, she said indignantly. A few scratches and a small crack aren't destruction. You're being ridiculously dramatic about some minor wear and tear. Minor wear and tear? The windshield is spiderwebbed across half the glass. That's fixable. And anyway, the car needed some character. It was too pristine before, like a museum piece nobody was allowed to touch. I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. Lauren, I need my car back. Today. Not next week. Not when it's convenient for you. Today. That's impossible. I'm in Colorado and you're in Ohio. Unless you want to drive out here to get it yourself, you'll have to wait until I drive it back. Fine. Then drive it straight back and return it to me immediately. I can't do that either, Lauren said. I need to stop in Kansas to see some friends, and then I promised to visit our cousin in Missouri. Plus, I want to take the scenic route through the mountains. This might be my last chance to see the country for a while. Absolutely not. You are not taking my car on another multi-state road trip. You're going to drive directly back to Ohio and return my car immediately. You can't control what route I take, Lauren said, her tone turning rebellious. It's not like you can track my every move. Actually, I can. The car has a GPS tracking system that I can monitor from my phone app. This was a lie. My car didn't have GPS tracking, but Lauren didn't need to know that. You're tracking me? She asked, sounding genuinely surprised. I'm tracking my car, which you stole and drove across the country without permission. Fine, whatever. I'll drive straight back. But I'm not returning the car until I find alternative transportation. I have a life to live and responsibilities to handle. Your responsibilities are not my problem, Lauren. They are when you're being unreasonable about sharing family resources, she replied. Mom and Dad think you should let me keep using the car until I get back on my feet. Of course they did. Our parents had never met a Lauren crisis they weren't willing to enable. Mom and Dad don't get to make decisions about my car, I said firmly. We'll see about that, Lauren said and hung up the phone. Lauren arrived back in Ohio the following Tuesday, driving my car into our parents' driveway like she owned it. I was waiting for her, having taken the day off work specifically to reclaim my vehicle. The car looked even worse than it had in the impound lot. The crack in the windshield had spread into a complex web of fractures. There were new dents and scratches along both sides, and the rear bumper was hanging loose from some kind of impact. The interior smelled like cigarettes, fast food, and something vaguely organic that I didn't want to identify. There you are, Lauren said when she saw me, as if I was the one who had been difficult to locate. I made great time. Only took me 3 days. 3 days? It's a 2-day drive from Colorado to Ohio? I took a slight detour through Wyoming. Have you ever seen Yellowstone? It's incredible. You should really get out and see the country sometime instead of just sitting at home complaining. Lauren opened the trunk to retrieve her belongings, revealing even more of her possessions crammed into every available space. She'd been using my car as a mobile storage unit, treating it like a personal moving van. I need my car back now, I told her as she loaded her arms with clothes and electronics. Obviously, Lauren said, not looking at me. I'm getting my stuff out of it. And then you're giving me the keys. Lauren straightened up, finally making eye contact. Actually, I was hoping we could work out some kind of arrangement. What kind of arrangement? Well, you're at work all day and I need reliable transportation to look for jobs and handle appointments. Maybe we could share it? Like a timeshare situation? I stared at her in amazement. Lauren, this is my car. I make the payments, I pay the insurance, I'm responsible for the registration and maintenance. There is no sharing arrangement. But that's not fair to me, she said, her voice taking on the wheedling tone she'd perfected as a child. You're being selfish about something that could benefit both of us. How would sharing my car with you benefit me? You'd be helping your sister get back on her feet, she said. Plus, I'd contribute to gas and maintenance costs. Like you contributed to gas and maintenance during the 2 months you stole my car? I didn't steal anything, Lauren said automatically. And I did pay for gas. Multiple times. You paid for gas with money you stole by not returning my car when you promised. The entire trip was theft, Lauren. That's a very negative way to look at the situation, she said. I prefer to think of it as an extended loan that got a little out of hand. Lauren finished unloading her belongings and stood there holding my keys, making no move to hand them over. Keys, Lauren. I really think we should discuss a sharing arrangement, she said. It would be mutually beneficial. The only mutually beneficial arrangement is you giving me my keys and finding your own transportation. That's not realistic right now, Lauren said. I don't have money for a car, and I can't get a job without reliable transportation. It's a catch-22 situation. Then you should have thought about that before you stole my car and got yourself arrested in Colorado. I didn't get myself arrested. You got me arrested by reporting the car stolen when you knew perfectly well that I was just borrowing it. I couldn't believe she was still trying to make this my fault. Lauren, give me my keys right now or I'm calling the police. You already called the police once, she said. Look how well that worked out. It worked out great. They found you and impounded my car, which is how I got it back. Yeah, and it cost you $800 in impound fees, Lauren said smugly. If you'd just been patient and trusted me to return the car when I was ready, none of that would have happened. If you'd returned my car when you promised, none of this would have happened. Lauren sighed dramatically. Fine. I can see you're determined to be difficult about this. She finally handed over my keys, but her expression suggested she was doing me an enormous favor. There, she said. Happy now? I looked at my damaged, high-mileage, cigarette-smelling car and felt anything but happy. Lauren had turned my reliable transportation into a repair project that would cost thousands of dollars to fix. I need money for the impound fees and the repairs, I told her. Lauren laughed. You need money from me? You caused all of this damage. You accumulated the impound fees. You're responsible for fixing what you broke. I'm not responsible for anything, Lauren said. You chose to report the car stolen, which led to the impound fees. You chose to fly to Colorado to retrieve it instead of waiting for me to bring it back. Those were your decisions, not mine. I made those decisions because you stole my car. I borrowed your car with permission, she said for the 100th time. Everything that happened after that was a consequence of your impatience and lack of trust. Our parents chose that moment to emerge from the house, having apparently been watching our confrontation from the windows. How was your trip, sweetheart? Mom asked Lauren, giving giving her a hug. It was amazing, Lauren said, brightening immediately. I saw so much of the country and met incredible people. It was exactly what I needed to clear my head and figure out my priorities. That's wonderful, Dad said. Sometimes a change of scenery is the best medicine. I stared at them in disbelief. Lauren had just finished describing her car theft as a therapeutic road trip, and our parents were celebrating her self-discovery journey. Did you get your car back? Mom asked me, as if it wasn't obvious from the fact that I was holding the keys. Yes, but it's been damaged, I said. The windshield is cracked, the bumper is dented, and there are scratches all over it. Cars are meant to be driven, Dad said dismissively. A few dings and scratches just show that it's being used properly. This isn't normal wear and tear, I protested. This is damage from reckless driving and poor care. Lauren's always been a careful driver, Mom said. I'm sure any damage was just bad luck or unavoidable circumstances. Lauren nodded vigorously. The windshield got cracked in a hailstorm in Nebraska. The bumper got scraped in a parking lot in Utah when someone hit me and drove off. The scratches are from tree branches on some of the scenic routes I took. None of it was my fault. See? Dad said, just bad luck. I realized that no matter what evidence I presented, our parents were going to take Lauren's side. She could have returned my car completely destroyed, and they would have found a way to blame external circumstances or my unreasonable expectations. I'm taking the car to get repair estimates, I announced. That's probably smart, Lauren said magnanimously. You'll want to document everything for insurance purposes. I'm also going to send you the bills for the repairs and the impound fees. Lauren's expression darkened. I already told you I'm not paying for any of that. Then I'll take you to small claims court. Go ahead, Lauren said with a shrug. I don't have any money anyway. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. Our parents looked uncomfortable with the mention of legal action. Maybe we could work out a family solution, Mom suggested. No need to involve lawyers and courts in what should be a private matter. Lauren stole my car, damaged it, and cost me hundreds of dollars in fees, I said. This stopped being a private family matter when she committed crimes. Calling it theft is very extreme, Dad said. Lauren made some poor choices, but her intentions weren't malicious. Her intentions don't matter, her actions do. Family should forgive and move forward, Mom said. Holding grudges only hurts everyone involved. I'm not holding a grudge. I'm holding Lauren accountable for her actions. Same thing, Lauren said with a smirk. Over the following weeks, I got repair estimates for my car that totaled nearly $4,000. The windshield needed to be completely replaced. The bumper required extensive bodywork. The interior needed professional cleaning to remove the cigarette smell and various stains. The engine needed additional maintenance due to the excessive mileage and apparent lack of oil changes during Lauren's road trip. I compiled all the estimates and bills, repairs, impound fees, rental car costs, and travel expenses for retrieving my vehicle, and presented Lauren with a total of $6,200. You want me to pay you $6,000? She asked, looking at the paperwork like it was written in a foreign language. I want you to pay for the damage you caused and the expenses you created. That's ridiculous. I'm not paying you anything. Then I'll file a lawsuit. File away, Lauren said. I don't have $6,000, and I'm not getting a job just to pay you money for imaginary damages. The damages aren't imaginary. Look at your car compared to how it looked when I lent it to you. It looks like a car that's been driven instead of babied, Lauren said. You should be thanking me for breaking it in properly. I filed a small claims court case the next day, listing Lauren as the defendant and detailing the circumstances that led to the damages and expenses. Lauren was served with papers at our parents' house, which led to another dramatic confrontation. I can't believe you're actually suing me, she said when she called to yell at me about the legal papers. Your own sister? I tried to resolve this reasonably, I replied. You refuse to take responsibility for your actions. Taking me to court is going to destroy our family, Lauren said. Mom and Dad are devastated that things have gotten this bad between us. They should be devastated by your behavior, not my response to it. All of this over some minor car damage, Lauren said. You're willing to destroy family relationships over money. You destroyed our relationship when you stole my car and lied to me for 2 months. I keep telling you, I didn't steal anything. Lauren, you took my car under false pretenses, disappeared for 2 months, drove it 30,000 miles across the country, accumulated thousands of dollars in traffic violations, got yourself arrested, and caused thousands of dollars in damage. If that's not theft, what would you call it? I'd call it a misunderstanding that got blown out of proportion by your overreaction. The small claims court hearing was scheduled for 2 months later, giving Lauren plenty of time to find a lawyer or prepare a defense. Instead, she spent the time trying to convince our parents to intervene on her behalf. Nicole's being completely unreasonable, she told anyone who would listen. I borrowed her car for a few days, and it turned into a whole federal case. A few days turned into 2 months, I corrected during one family dinner where Lauren was retelling her version of events. Time is subjective, Lauren said airily. What feels like a few days to me might feel like longer to you. 2 months isn't subjective, Lauren. It's 2 months. You're being very literal about something that was always meant to be flexible. Our parents nodded along like Lauren's explanation made perfect sense. The night before our court hearing, Lauren called me one last time to try to convince me to drop the lawsuit. It's not too late to handle this as a family, she said. We could work out a payment plan or something. You've had months to work out a payment plan, I replied. You've consistently refused to take any responsibility for what happened. Because I didn't do anything wrong, Lauren said, her voice rising. I borrowed your car with permission, and then you overreacted when I didn't return it as quickly as you wanted. 2 months, Lauren. 2 months, 2 weeks, what's the difference? The important thing is that I brought it back in one piece. You brought it back damaged and with 30,000 additional miles. Cars are meant to be driven. Miles don't hurt anything. Miles decrease the value and require additional maintenance. That's not my problem, Lauren said. I didn't force you to let me borrow the car. You offered, which means you accepted the risks that come with lending someone a vehicle. I realized we could have this conversation forever and never reach any kind of understanding. Lauren was fundamentally incapable of seeing the situation from anyone's perspective but her own. The small claims court hearing was held in a windowless conference room with fluorescent lighting and institutional carpeting. The judge, a middle-aged woman with graying hair and tired eyes, reviewed our case files while Lauren and I sat at opposite sides of a conference table. Ms. Wilson, the judge said, addressing me, you're claiming that your sister stole your car and caused $6,200 in damages and expenses? Yes, Your Honor. I lent her my car for a few days days, and she disappeared for 2 months without contact. Ms. Wilson, the judge said, turning to Lauren, how do you respond to these allegations? My sister gave me permission to borrow her car, Lauren said confidently. She never specified exactly how long I could use it, so I used my best judgment about when to return it. Everything that happened after that was a result of her impatience and decision to involve law enforcement in a private family matter. The judge looked skeptical. You used the car for 2 months without contacting the owner? I was going through a difficult personal situation and needed some space to figure things out, Lauren explained. I was always planning to return the car, but my sister panicked and reported it stolen before I had a chance to come home. Did you inform Ms. Wilson about your plans to take the car out of state? Lauren shifted uncomfortably. No, but she didn't ask me not to. Mrs. Wilson, the judge said to me, when you gave your sister permission to borrow the car, what were the terms of that agreement? I told her she could borrow it for a few days while her car was being repaired, I said. She claimed she needed transportation to get to her new job. And was there a new job? No, Your Honor. She lied about having a job. I checked with the company she claimed to work for and they'd never heard of her. The judge made notes in her file. Ms. Wilson, she said to Lauren, why did you misrepresent your employment situation? I was actively looking for work, Lauren said. I may have exaggerated about having a specific job lined up, but my intentions were good. You lied, the judge said bluntly. I was optimistic about my job prospects. The judge reviewed the repair estimates, impound receipts, and documentation I'd brought to support my case. She also examined photos showing the condition of my car before and after Lauren's use. Ms. Wilson, she said to Lauren, do you dispute that this damage occurred while the car was in your possession? Some of that damage was probably already there, Lauren said. Cars get dinged and scratched just from normal use. The plaintiff has photographs showing the car's condition before you borrowed it, the judge pointed out. Photographs can be misleading, Lauren said. And anyway, I didn't cause any of the damage intentionally. The windshield got cracked in a hailstorm, and the other stuff was just bad luck. Bad luck that somehow didn't occur during the 2 years the plaintiff owned the car, but did occur during the 2 months you were using it. Lauren didn't have a good answer for that. The judge spent several minutes reviewing all the evidence, occasionally asking clarifying questions about the timeline and circumstances. Lauren grew increasingly agitated as the hearing progressed, apparently realizing that her usual charm offensive wasn't working. Ms. Wilson, the judge said to Lauren, you took your sister's car under false pretenses, used it for purposes she didn't authorize, kept it for far longer than agreed upon, caused significant damage, and failed to return it voluntarily. Is that an accurate summary? That's a very uncharitable interpretation of events, Lauren said. I was going through a difficult time and made some poor choices, but I never intended to harm my sister or damage her property. Intentions are less important than actions, the judge replied, and your actions caused financial harm to the plaintiff. The judge ruled in my favor, ordering Lauren to pay $5,800 of the $6,200 I'd requested. She reduced the amount slightly because she felt some of my travel expenses were optional, but she awarded damages for the repairs, impound fees, and rental car costs. The defendant will pay restitution to the plaintiff in monthly installments of $200, the judge ordered. If payments fall behind, additional legal remedies may be pursued. Lauren looked stunned by the ruling. She'd apparently convinced herself that her version of events would be sufficient to avoid responsibility. Your Honor, she said, I don't have $200 a month to spare. I'm unemployed and living with my parents. Then I suggest you find employment, the judge replied. The court has ruled that you owe this money to your sister. How you earn it is up to you. Outside the courthouse, Lauren was furious. I hope you're happy, she said. You've destroyed our family over money. I didn't destroy anything, Lauren. You did that when you stole my car. I borrowed your car with permission. For a few days, not 2 months. The time frame was never clearly established, Lauren said. You're using legal technicalities to punish me for your own poor communication. I stared at her, amazed by her continued refusal to accept responsibility. Lauren, you lied about having a job, disappeared for 2 months, drove my car 30,000 miles across the country, accumulated thousands of dollars in traffic violations, got arrested, and caused thousands of dollars in damage. At what point do you plan to take responsibility for your actions? I take responsibility for the things that were actually my fault, Lauren said. But most of what happened was just bad luck or consequences of your decision to overreact. How was lying about having a job bad luck? I was optimistic about my employment prospects. How was disappearing for 2 months without contact bad luck? I was working through personal issues and needed space. How was driving 30,000 miles across the country bad luck? I was exploring opportunities and trying to figure out my life. Lauren had an excuse for everything, but no accountability for anything. Our parents picked Lauren up from the courthouse, having attended the hearing to show support for both their daughters. They seemed disappointed by the judge's ruling. It's unfortunate that things had to get to this point, Mom said when I walked out to the parking lot. Lauren caused $6,000 in damage and expenses, I replied. The judge ordered her to pay $5,800. That seems fair. She's your sister, Dad said. Maybe you could work out a payment plan that's more manageable for her. The judge already worked out a payment plan. $200 a month. That's a lot of money for someone without a job, Mom pointed out. Then maybe she should get a job. You're being very cold about this, Lauren said from the passenger seat of our parents' car. I'm struggling to get my life together, and instead of supporting me, you're making things harder. I supported you by letting you borrow my car, I said. You repaid that support by stealing from me. I didn't steal anything. Even after losing in court, Lauren was still clinging to her version of events. The first payment arrived 6 weeks later, exactly $200, sent as a money order with no note or explanation. Lauren had apparently found some kind of work, though I didn't know what kind or where. Over the following months, the payments came sporadically. Sometimes they were on time, sometimes they were weeks late, occasionally they were short by $20 or $30. Lauren seemed to view the court-ordered restitution as a flexible suggestion rather than a legal obligation. After 4 months of irregular payments, I had to file additional paperwork with the court to enforce the judgment. This led to another hearing, where Lauren was ordered to provide documentation of her employment and income. I'm working part-time at a coffee shop, she told the judge. The schedule is irregular, so my income varies from week to week. That doesn't excuse irregular payments, the judge replied. You're required to prioritize this restitution. If you can't afford $200 monthly, you need to find additional work. Lauren was clearly annoyed by this direction, but she had no choice but to comply. The payments became more regular after that, though they were often accompanied by passive-aggressive notes about how the financial burden was preventing her from moving forward with her life. I can't afford to get my own apartment because I have to pay you $200 every month, she wrote in one note. I hope you're satisfied knowing that your lawsuit is keeping me trapped at Mom and Dad's house. I didn't respond to any of her notes. Lauren's living underlying situation was her responsibility, not mine. She'd caused the financial obligation through her own actions. The repair process for my car took months and cost every penny the judge had awarded. The windshield replacement was straightforward, but the bodywork required extensive work to fix all the scratches and dents Lauren had accumulated during her cross-country adventure. The interior cleaning took multiple attempts to remove the cigarette smell and various stains. Even after all the repairs, my car never felt quite the same. The high mileage Lauren had put on it meant more frequent maintenance and increased wear on all the systems. The resale value was permanently diminished by the excessive miles and accident history. But more than the financial cost was the emotional toll of Lauren's betrayal. She'd taken something I'd worked hard for and treated it carelessly, then refused to take responsibility for the consequences. She'd lied to me, stolen from me, and then tried to make me feel guilty for holding her accountable. Our family dynamics never recovered from the incident. Lauren continued to maintain that she'd done nothing wrong, that I'd overreacted to a simple misunderstanding. Our parents continued to enable her perspective, treating the court case as an unfortunate escalation rather than a necessary consequence of Lauren's actions. I wish you two could find a way to move past this, Mom said during one family dinner, months after the court case was resolved. I've moved past it, I replied. I got my car back, Lauren is paying for the damage she caused, and I've learned not to trust her with my possessions. But you're not really sisters anymore, Mom said sadly. You barely speak to each other. That's Lauren's choice, I said. She's the one who decided that stealing from me was acceptable behavior. She made a mistake, Dad said. Everyone deserves forgiveness. Lauren hasn't asked for forgiveness, I pointed out. She's maintained from the beginning that she did nothing wrong. Lauren, who had been silent during this exchange, finally spoke up. I did nothing wrong, she said. Nicole gave me permission to use her car, and then she overreacted when I didn't return it as quickly as she wanted. Everything that happened after that was her choice. You disappeared for 2 months, I said. I needed space to work through personal issues. You lied about having a job. I was optimistic about my employment prospects. You drove 30,000 miles across the country without permission. You never specifically said I couldn't. We were back to the same circular conversation we'd been having for over a year. Lauren was never going to admit she'd done anything wrong, and I was never going to pretend that her actions were acceptable. The final payment arrived 2.5 years after the court case, along with a note from Lauren. I've fulfilled my legal obligation to you, she wrote. I hope you're satisfied with the way you handled this situation. You got your money, but you lost your sister. I hope it was worth it. I deposited the check and threw away the note without reading it completely. Lauren was wrong about one thing. I hadn't lost my sister. Lauren had never been the sister I thought she was. The person I'd imagined. Someone who cared about me enough not to steal from me. Someone who would take responsibility for her mistakes. Someone who valued our relationship more than her own convenience. That person had never existed. The Lauren who actually existed was someone who felt entitled to take whatever she wanted from people who cared about her, who lied to get what she needed, and who refused to accept consequences for her actions. That person wasn't someone I wanted in my life, sister or not. 3 years after the car incident, I bought a house in a different city and started a new job that offered better opportunities for advancement. Lauren heard about my move through our parents and sent me a Facebook message. Congratulations on the house, she wrote. I know we haven't talked much lately, but I want you to know I'm proud of you for doing so well. Maybe we could get together sometime and catch up. I read the message and closed it without responding. Lauren still hadn't acknowledged what she'd done or apologized for her actions. She was reaching out because she wanted something, probably financial help or another favor, not because she'd had any genuine change of heart. 6 months later, she tried again. I've been doing a lot of thinking about our relationship, she wrote. I know things got complicated with the car situation, and I want to work on rebuilding our bond as sisters. Family is the most important thing, and I miss having you in my life. Again, no acknowledgement of her actions. No apology for stealing my car, lying to me, or causing thousands of dollars in damage. Just a vague reference to things getting complicated, and an expectation that I should prioritize family relationships over personal boundaries. I blocked her on social media. Our parents occasionally tried to facilitate reconciliation, inviting both of us to family events and hoping we'd work things out naturally. But Lauren's presence at family gatherings was a constant reminder of her entitlement and lack of accountability. During one Christmas dinner, Lauren mentioned that she was thinking about taking a cross-country road trip to visit friends in California. Road trips are so freeing, she said. There's something magical about just hitting the open road and seeing where life takes you. She said this while looking directly at me, apparently expecting some kind of reaction. I focused on my dinner and said nothing. Of course, I'll have to rent a car this time, she continued. My current car isn't reliable for long distances. Maybe Nicole could lend you hers again, Mom suggested, apparently forgetting the circumstances of Lauren's last cross-country adventure. I don't think that's a good idea, I said calmly. Lauren's expression darkened. Some people aren't very generous with family. Some people learn from experience, I replied. The table went quiet. Lauren had apparently expected me to either ignore her jab or respond defensively. My calm acknowledgement of the situation seemed to catch her off guard. I was just making conversation, she said. So was I. After dinner, Lauren cornered me in the kitchen while I was helping clean up. Do you plan to hold a grudge forever? She asked. I'm not holding a grudge, I said. I'm maintaining appropriate boundaries based on past behavior. It's been years since the car thing happened. The car thing was theft, Lauren. You stole my car. I borrowed it with permission. For a few days, not 2 months. We've had this conversation 100 times, Lauren said, sounding exasperated. Can't we just move past it? Moving past it would require you to acknowledge what actually happened and take responsibility for your actions. I've taken responsibility. I paid you back every penny the court ordered. You paid restitution because a judge forced you to. You've never once admitted that what you did was wrong. Lauren stared at me for a long moment. Fine. I'm sorry I borrowed your car longer than you expected. Are you happy now? That's not an apology, Lauren. That's you minimizing your actions and trying to make me feel unreasonable for being upset about them. What do you want from me? She asked, her voice rising. I paid for the damage. I served my time dealing with the legal consequences. I've been respectful about the whole situation. What more can I do? You could start by being honest about what actually happened. I am being honest. You stole my car, Lauren. You lied about needing it for work, disappeared for 2 months, drove it across the country, accumulated thousands of dollars in violations, got arrested, and caused extensive damage. Then you blame me for reporting it stolen and demanded I pay impound fees to get my own car back. Lauren's face flushed with anger. I made some poor choices, but calling me a thief is extreme. What would you call taking someone's car under false pretenses and keeping it for 2 months? I would call it a misunderstanding that got blown out of proportion. I looked at her for a long moment, realizing that nothing had changed. changed. Lauren was still the same person who felt entitled to take what she wanted and blame others for the consequences. I think we're done here, I said, finishing with the dishes. So that's it? Lauren asked. You're going to cut me out of your life forever because of one mistake? It wasn't one mistake, Lauren. It was months of deliberate choices. And you're still making the choice not to take responsibility for any of it. I left the kitchen and went home, skipping the rest of the family gathering. Lauren could spin whatever story she wanted about my departure. I no longer cared about managing her narrative or our parents' disappointment. Over the following years, I built a life filled with people who respected boundaries, told the truth, and took responsibility for their actions. I bought a newer car, got promoted at work, and developed relationships based on mutual trust and consideration. Lauren continued to drift through life, changing jobs frequently and moving between apartments when rent became a problem. Our parents continued to subsidize her lifestyle, paying for her car repairs, helping with security deposits, and bailing her out of various financial crises. She's still struggling to find her direction, Mom would say when updating me on Lauren's latest situation. She's 30 years old, I would reply. At some point, struggling becomes choosing. Lauren's pattern of entitlement and irresponsibility continued to play out with other people in her life. She borrowed money from friends and never paid it back. She moved in with roommates and left them stuck with unpaid bills when she decided to relocate suddenly. She dated people who supported her financially until they got tired of being used. But none of that was my problem anymore. Lauren had taught me valuable lessons about boundaries, consequences, and the difference between family loyalty and enabling destructive behavior. She'd shown me that some people will take advantage of your kindness no matter how much you care about them. I learned that you can love someone from a distance without allowing them to cause chaos in your life. I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruel. It's necessary for protecting your own well-being and maintaining your sanity. Most importantly, I learned that I deserved relationships built on mutual respect and honesty. Lauren had never offered me either, despite being my sister. The people I chose to surround myself with now understood that caring about someone means treating them with consideration, not entitlement. 5 years after the car incident, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. Lauren was marrying someone she'd been dating for 6 months, and apparently wanted me to witness their union. I RSVP'd no and sent a card with a generic congratulations message. Lauren called me the next day, upset that I wasn't planning to attend. It's my wedding, she said. Family should be there for important moments. Family should also be trustworthy and considerate, I replied. You've never been either of those things. That was years ago. Can't you let go of the past? The past informs the present, Lauren. You've never acknowledged what you did wrong or shown any genuine change in behavior. I'm getting married, she said, as if this was evidence of personal growth. I'm settling down and building a stable life. With someone you've known for 6 months. When you know, Lauren said defensively. What does your fiancé know about your history of taking things that don't belong to you? Lauren went quiet for a moment. That's not fair. It's a legitimate question. Does he know about the car theft, the traffic violations, the court case? We've discussed my past, Lauren said carefully. How did you explain it to him? I told him we had a family misunderstanding that got blown out of proportion by legal complications. So you lied to him too? I didn't lie. I presented the situation from my perspective. Your perspective is that stealing someone's car for 2 months is a misunderstanding? I didn't steal anything, Lauren said automatically, then seemed to realize how this sounded. Look, that's ancient history. I'm focused on building a future now. Good luck with that, I said, and hung up the phone. Lauren's marriage lasted 18 months before ending in divorce. According to our parents, her husband had discovered that Lauren had been using his credit cards without permission to pay for personal expenses. She'd also been lying about looking for work while spending her days shopping and socializing. It's so sad, Mom said when she told me about the divorce. Lauren was really trying to make it work. Was she really trying? I asked. Or was she just hoping her husband wouldn't notice her behavior? That's a harsh way to put it. It's an accurate way to put it. Lauren moved back in with our parents after the divorce, claiming she needed time to get back on her feet financially. That was 3 years ago. She's still living in their basement, still unemployed, still expecting other people to support her while she figures things out. I don't feel sorry for her anymore. Lauren is reaping exactly what she's sown. A life of instability and broken relationships. Consequences of her refusal to treat other people with basic respect and honesty. Our parents are in their 70s now, and I worry about what will happen to Lauren when they're no longer able or willing to support her. But that's not my problem to solve. Lauren has had decades to learn how to be a responsible adult, and she's chosen entitlement over accountability at every turn. I have a life I'm proud of, a career I love, relationships built on mutual trust, financial security I've earned through hard work and responsible choices. Lauren played no part in building any of it, and she has no claim to any of it. Sometimes I think about that conversation in the jail in Colorado, when Lauren accused me of abandoning her in her time of need. She was right that I abandoned her, but wrong about when it happened. I didn't abandon Lauren when I refused to bail her out of jail. I abandoned the fantasy version of Lauren that I'd been carrying around, the sister who would eventually grow up, take responsibility for her actions, and treat me with the same consideration I'd always shown her. That Lauren had never existed. The real Lauren was someone who felt entitled to take whatever she wanted from people who cared about her, who lied when it was convenient, and who blamed everyone else when her choices had consequences. Accepting this truth was painful but liberating. I stopped waiting for Lauren to become someone she'd never been, stopped making excuses for behavior that was inexcusable, stopped prioritizing her comfort over my own well-being. I learned that you can't love someone into being a better person. You can't care enough for both people in a relationship. You can't maintain a connection with someone who fundamentally doesn't respect you, no matter how much history you share. Lauren taught me these lessons through her actions, though I doubt she intended to. She showed me the importance of boundaries, the value of accountability, and the difference between family bonds and healthy relationships. For those lessons, as painful as they were to learn, I'm ultimately grateful. The girl who once prioritized keeping peace over protecting herself is gone. In her place stands a woman who knows her worth and refuses to accept treatment that falls short of basic respect. That woman has never regretted the day she stopped letting Lauren steal her car, her money, her peace of mind, or her self-respect. Some relationships are worth fighting for. Others are worth walking away from. I've never once looked back and wondered if I made the wrong choice.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.